Let's get my friend Alan Ng in here because today we're talking to Joseph Kahn. That's right. Writer, director Joseph Kahn. We have big Hollywood news, lots about the DCU. And I need someone to help. Where is
Hello, my name is Ring A Ding Ding. I'm Alan Ng's brother. Mr. Gore's invited me to track down my brother. So, okay, here we go. How does that go now? Alan.
What are you doing, man?
It's my brother.
There you go.
Ring a ding. Ding.
Ring a ding ing.
Ring a ding ing.
That's it. Here's what's your it's something rare, and you may or may not notice if I'm frozen because we cannot figure out why my camera continues to freeze. Could be the computer, the browser, we don't
Camera.
know. But I forgot to change into a Film Threat shirt. That's rare for me. Very rare. Very rare. And you remembered, Alan, you're ahead of me. You're ahead of me. Well,
I hang them right next to the computer.
Yeah, I've got a big pile of Film Thread shirts right here. So hopefully I'm moving. If you're listening, this won't affect you. If you're watching and I'm frozen, I just hope it's like some kind of funny face, like or something goofy that I just did just now. So
yeah, just mention it in the chat.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, let's go through some of these and get going.
Because we could use the engagement. Andrew Cram gifted 5 Film Threat memberships. Thank you, Andrew. Always coming.
Thank you, Andrew. Keeping the channel alive
yes.
as the YouTube revenue continues to spiral down.
Oh my gosh. MK Solid. Chris could be all fired up, yet we don't know yet.
There you are. Yes, MK Solid. I'm always fired up.
John Manalang, member for 45 months. We can't not possibly have been doing the show that long. Joseph Kahn's name might be misspelled in your stream title. Kahn!
Wait, is it?
I have no idea.
Is it? Change it. Or can someone change it right now? Okay, good. Thank you, John Manalang.
All right, Stevie D. We need an Alan Ng fan club. Oh, don't we all?
I'm the president.
Joseph Kahn. Neuromancer is one of my favorite novels ever.
Right.
He directed that. And Lord Thoth comes in with the like, share, subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, sign up as a member, join us on X, Discord, or Rumble, and Instagram, and buy our merch at shop.filmthreat.com.
And here we go. We have a look at the merch. And I'm going to go off. I'll change into one of the shirts right now.
Yes. Boy, I wish I could control that right now, but I can't.
The camera?
No, the web page there.
No, it's all good. It's going to so we've got Avengers theme. We've got the Warriors. I don't have that one actually. We've got our Project Hail Mary inspired shirts. Putting on a shirt right now.
Yeah.
I have the one that's inspired by Dune, the Dune logo. We should do a reissue of our Dune logo shirt. So here you go. Full screen. Film Threat in the Dune font. Probably what was a good idea. Was a good idea, but what can you say? So, hey, we have a lot of news. Let's get right to it. Los Angeles production is up 10%.
Oh, the
from
governor
fall
was right.
2025. This is deceptive, but let's look at the article from The Wrap. Alan, give it to me, and then I have a little show and tell that explains this.
Okay, well, let's start with the good news. LA film production is showing early signs of recovery, helped by California's expanded film and television tax credit, but the rebound still is fragile. In other words, thank you, Governor Newsom. Film LA reports 5,121 on-location shoot days in Q1 of 2026, up 10% from the previous quarter, but still 3.3% lower than the same period last year. Karen Bass, our mayor, or LA's mayor, framed this as a turning point after years of decline, crediting efforts to cut costs and streamline production in the city.
And let me stop you right there,
Yeah.
Alan. I actually have video of her
Oh,
about it.
of the
Let's
great
see
mayor of Los Angeles.
Mayor
Yes.
Karen Bass running for re-election right now. Here's what she has to say about production of 10% from Q4 2025.
I have some exciting news. Production is up 10% in Los Angeles. It's coming back. And I know that one thing that has contributed to that is cutting red tape so that filming on location in Los Angeles can happen at a cheaper cost, more convenient for folks, and anything that we can do to facilitate bringing the industry back
where it belongs.
Exactly
100
where it
years of storied
belongs.
history to Tinseltown.
I'm Jolie Fisher. I'm the president of SAG-AFTRA Los Angeles Local, and I want to thank you, Mayor Bass, for your leadership, for your partnership in all of this.
Absolutely.
And like you said, we have a lot more work to do.
Exactly.
And I have a few ideas that I want to mention on the way to the car.
Well, that's great. I'm glad to hear them because
All right,
your
all right.
ideas is what facilitated us having a
It-
film czar, lowering the cost of film, expediting the permitting process, and lowering the cost by reducing the number of city staff that need to be on location. So if there's more to do,
By
just
city
do it.
staff
Tell
need
us
to
what
All
it
right,
is.
all right,
I
all right.
will.
Let me just explain this. It's utter bullshit. It's utter bullshit. From the X account hotshot_movie man-made cinema. Let me share something. Let me share a little facts here. Wow, this is embarrassing. The stat is Q1 production is up 10% from Q4, which it always is. Because guess what also happens in Q4? Christmas, Thanksgiving, Hanukkah, and rainy season. It's so YOY production in year over year production in Q1 is down 3% compared with last year. Karen thinks you're dumb because she is. From Man-Made Cinema, give a follow on X. It makes sense that production would be up actually after Q4 to Q1 because people take vacations in Q4. Production winds down for the holidays. This is utter lie. She thinks you're an idiot. This is not a sign at all. Don't fall for it. Don't fall for it at all. And I really want to see a leadership change here in LA.
Mhm.
Because I can show you, there's other stories from Quixote Studios laying off 70 staffers. How many stories do you want me to show you, Alan, of what's been happening in Los Angeles with regard to production? It's an embarrassment, So this is like a lot of stats quoted by politicians, a lie, a complete and utter lie.
So-
What are your thoughts? I want to get what you think
Yeah.
about it. I have one more thing to show.
Okay, so it says it's 10.7% up from previous quarter, but still 3.3% lower than last year. And last year, let's think about last year. It was one of the worst years in Hollywood production, and we're lower than last year. So good job. The other thing is, you know how the world is complaining about these internet journalists, these amateur journalists. You would think a publication that considers themselves journalists would call this out, would tell you the obvious fact that of course it's up because the Q4 of every year is always the lowest in production.
Yeah.
But we don't have journalists willing to challenge us, willing to give us the facts about an idea, and we'll just be the mouthpiece of
This is
Karen
the
Bass and Gavin Newsom.
Sorry about that, Alan. I'm just
Oh, yeah, go
really
ahead.
fired. I'm really fired up and pissed
Yeah,
off
me too.
about this. I'm angry because who should be calling this out? The Wrap,
The press.
the Reporter,
Mhm.
Variety. Call out this BS.
See, you would think these publications that rely on entertainment news would call this stuff out. But no, I don't know. Maybe the studios are paying them off.
Well, it's even the local news knows. I mean, we know, Alan, the fourth quarter is kind of our worst quarter. It's like December, it might be our worst month. Not in a bad way. We have good months, bad months.
No,
It
it's
all
just
evens
trends.
out.
It's
But let me just show you this. There's a guy running for mayor who was a formerly reality TV star that was called to this. He dropped this campaign ad. I want everyone to see. This is the kind of energy we need in politics.
Okay, you gotta.
Or here, where Nithya Raman's $3 million mansion sits. They don't have to live in the mess they've created where you live. This is where I live. They let my home burn down. I know what the consequences of failed leadership are. That's why I'm running for mayor. For my sons and the rest of us Angelinos that want to stop these corrupt politicians from destroying our city. We are going to get the golden age of Los Angeles back.
Well,
This is where Mayor
that's okay. So, and also I follow Spencer Pratt on social media. He gave a tour of the little motor home he's been living in since his house burned down. His house and his parents' home burned down. So it's a little distressing.
Yeah, did you see they showed it, but it was an LA councilwoman who was basically during a council meeting said that she didn't understand what the problem was having homeless camps in front of your business.
Exactly.
That's
In related, this is Spencer Pratt on production in LA. Just something he had to say. I think he's well informed on the issues. I mean, if we're going to get a new mayor in a town that's all built on entertainment, should we have someone who's worked in entertainment as a mayor? Here he is talking about LA production, just laying down some facts. Let me play this clip for you, Alan. It relates to all of this.
So he was the president of multiple studios, Sony. We're going to bring him in within an Avengers team for Hollywood, how we clean up all these permit issues and get Hollywood back and make the incentives, make it. My idea is literally not charge. You want to shoot in LA? We're going to charge you? No, we need work. And then we can, in 6 years, we can come back and worry about that, but bring the business back. So meeting with the Ted Sarandos, putting these actual commissions, not to mention, I already met with there's the community budget advocates. They're like LA budget experts. They presented 7 budget initiatives to Mayor Bass. She didn't do one. I'm going to do all 7. These type of budget things where you don't just increase all these payments to city unions or whatever if the budget doesn't have the money. There's going to be a commission that looks everything publicly for 30 days. Right now, it's just her CAO. It's like having your accountant and check your taxes like from the IRS. It's all, we need to have outside independent people checking all this stuff.
Look, I know this is kind of in the weeds politics, but it's affecting not only our livelihood, Alan, livelihood of friends of ours that work in the industry. I mean, we're seeing California collapse in real time, and we need a big change. Any more thoughts on this? We'll go to our next.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, we're gonna. This topic's not gonna end. We're gonna continue to talk about it. It's gonna get worse, and you're gonna see, unless there is a change in leadership, you see Karen Bass taking credit for something she didn't do. She found a stat and now she's taking credit for it. What did she do? Okay, maybe some red tape here and there, but the red tape's only part of it. It's the fees, it's the money they collect. I don't know. It's just, my comment is basically to be continued, and it'll probably be continued on Friday because stuff just keeps coming out.
Bad reviews did not derail the success of the Michael movie. Some quick little facts here. And I love this story because I think you and I both really enjoyed Michael. I plan to see it again. I think even the experience of seeing Michael with an audience, it was like a concert and a love fest where the credits are rolling. They turn on the lights kind of at a low level at AMC, which I don't like during credits. Okay, whatever. But people wouldn't leave. They want to stick around, and then people are out. When a movie is good. A movie was good when people don't want to leave, or when they leave the theater, but they stand around and talk like with strangers. Oh, what'd you think? That was great. Jafar Jackson was amazing. From Variety, this is why bad reviews did not derail the Michael biopic. Lionsgate commercial streak. The studio has been on a winning streak with The Long Walk, 62 million. Now You See Me, Now You Don't, 243 million, and The House made 400 million. Those three films plus Michael have benefited from the joy of the communal experience, says Lionsgate's motion picture chair Adam Fogelson. There's more in this story. I don't know if you have it, but that's the crux of it. What do you think, Alan?
Yeah, no, I think it's awesome. I think what we really want nowadays, we talked about it, the dour tone, the dark tones of movies nowadays, the feelings of dread and doom in stories. No, you want something uplifting. People are just tired of it. I talk to people who don't watch YouTube, but they know that they're just sick and tired of these dark movies that are just violent, ends into some dystopian future. No, let's have a party. That's what movies were always meant to be.
Let's go. We're going to go to your comments. We're getting to the DCU news, but I want to make sure that this is spelled correctly. Can you check this? Okay. Thank you, Atomic Lori. And a person might have made that mistake, and that person might have been me. So we will fix it. We'll get it fixed. We'll fix it eventually.
So is it my turn to blow up then? Is that
nope? It's always my turn. It was my turn. We have some Spider-Man Brand New Day news also. But hey, a week from today, we have actor Paul Walter Hauser. Let's see, let's actually correct that. Let me start that over. So it's Hauser is the name. And what's it like to be an actor, according to Paul Walter Hauser? Well, we can actually ask him because he is going to be on the show in a week. But this clip surfaced, and I really, if you're not following Paul Walter Hauser's work, he is really amazing. He's not really, he has been on a tear lately on social media. Follow him, look him up and follow him. He has been on an absolute tear on social, and he's not political one way, or I think he leans one way, but he's really more about common sense. Let's hear what he has to say about making a living as an actor. And here we go.
Last year, I had like 5 movies come out. I did a cameo in a Kevin James movie called Playdate. I did Luckiest Man in America, Fantastic Four, Naked Gun, and Americana. And of those movies, it's like Playdate's a cameo. Fantastic Four, they cut half my scenes. Springsteen, Deliver Me From Nowhere, didn't get received the way I thought it should and would. Americana did not have a big rollout, and Sydney was going through her blue jean issue. I say all this to say I'm trying to tell people, if you're watching this, especially if you're an actor, filmmaker, even at the height of your career, it's still not going to be whatever you're thinking it's going to be. You're still going to have a bunch of hiccups, and you can be wearing the nicest shirt but still get that mustard stain on it. The real joy is you got to meet 80 new people and go on a journey with them and tell a story, and you're proud of what you did. And a kid will come up to me in the airport and be like, "Are you Stingray from Cobra Kai?" It's like that means more than the Emmys and the Golden Globes, because it's enhancing somebody's life. When they're having a bad day, they turn on Cobra Kai or I Think You Should Leave or It's Always Sunny, and they see my face, and I help make their day better, because they do that for me. Yeah, they do that for us. It's all out of your control. The only thing you can control is how you respond to it, how you treat people, and your performance.
Now, okay, he is a super nice guy.
Mm-hmm.
I have just following him. But he's gone on a tear where I think he's just sort of tired of the conversation,
the divisiveness.
Yeah, he's speaking out more and more. I want to ask him about, and I want to hear, what are the scenes of the Bone Man from Fantastic Four that were cut? We're going to find out next week. He's coming on the show for an extended interview. So,
Yes.
and we'll ask him about what, and he's very, I'm not going to speak for him. I just know he has, in public appearances, he has thanked Jesus. Okay. That's not a real, like a Hollywood kind of guy thing to do necessarily. So what do you think of that? And I interviewed him for The Luckiest Man in the World. It's on our interviews channel. It's kind of a brief interview, but I got to speak with him. Check that out. We'll do a deep dive with him next week. Alan, any thoughts or comments on what
Any thoughts? Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, this is the quintessential character actor, or at least the modern day character actor. I was looking up. Yeah, Richard Jewell won a Golden Globe for it. I mean, that was such a great performance. And yes, Davina Duckworth. I saw him get a guitar shot from Jeff Jarrett, which was pretty cool. I mean, the guy he just seems like an everyman. And we don't have a lot of those. And every man who's willing to speak his mind, even if it does mean thanking Jesus for your success.
Well, I can't wait to have an extended conversation about him. And what I know about him is he is a real cinephile too. Mm-hmm. And he talked about, you follow him on social media, but he talked about working with certain directors, and of Clint Eastwood, he said it was like a great dinner party. Like he would host dinner parties with Clint Eastwood. Now I know he wouldn't speak out of turn about anything private, but it was nice to hear that Clint, and he famously, Clint Eastwood as a director, he likes to be done. He's like clocks in at a certain time. He's done by dinner, not all these 18-hour crazy days. So can't wait to hear from Paul. And I want to know what happened with all the Mole Man's cut scenes. I heard that was the opening action scene of the movie was supposed to be like the Mole Man recreating that cover image from the first issue of FF Fantastic Four.
Yeah, wouldn't that have been great?
That would have been great.
An actual comic book movie taking its pages from the comic books.
Let's go. So, all right. Hey, what was learned from the Spider-Man Brand New Day script? Apparently, someone from Entertainment Weekly got to read some of the script. We have the story here. Alan, you've got the notes. Give it to me.
Here we go. Okay, so what we learned from Spider-Man Brand New Day script pages. Number one, Peter's world is completely reset. After No Way Home, no one remembers Peter Parker. This new film drops him into total anonymity, forcing a true start from zero chapter. Number two, the opening reflects lost memories. The classic Marvel intro will now include moments Peter remembers, but no one else does, especially with MJ, Ned, and Aunt May. It's less hype reel and more of an emotional ghost album. Number three, Peter is isolated and struggling. 9 months later, he's living alone in a small apartment with unhealthy habits. I hate to imagine what that was. The script hints at something physically wrong too, with headaches suggesting a deeper consequences of his erased memories. Number four, no Stark safety net anymore. Without Tony Stark tech or money, Peter builds everything himself. We're back to scrappy DIY Spider-Man instead of billionaire-backed superheroing. Number six, his only friend is an AI. The AI assistant similar to Jarvis. She basically his only companion, while quietly underlies how lonely his life has become. Six, he still watches the lives he lost. He remembers, he keeps reminders of MJ and Ned, sets alerts like visiting Aunt May's grave, and follows Ned's success from afar. He's emotionally stuck in life that he can't rejoin. Number seven, a homemade Spider-Man returns. Peter creates a new suit using basic materials inspired by the Spider-Man he met before. It's grounded, stitched, and real, visually signaling a return to his roots. And number eight, the film opens with a classic Spidey swing. Despite everything, he's still Spider-Man. The opening transition into him responding to crime diving into a montage of web-slinging action across New York.
Well, what I really like about this, it's getting back to classic Spider-Man. And it also seems this movie, what we got from CinemaCon was this is going to have more heart than any of the. I'm not a huge fan. I like the last movie, No Way Home, but I wasn't a big fan of those films. Tom Holland was fine. We saw a scene from the movie, which is early in the film, where he stumbles into, it's in the trailer. He stumbles into that party. He's talking to Ned and MJ, has an awkward moment. We saw that entire scene. It plays out like an indie movie, like a drama. It's not played for goofs and laughs, even though they're funny things.
There's nothing surreal about it.
No, it's
there's no hyper realized superhero in the background. It's just a kid going to a party.
Yeah, and you
meeting new
got
friends.
this sense of awkwardness. Do I fit in? Longing and loss with regard to MJ and Ned. There's that sense of he lost all of that, and I really like what we saw. I think it's interesting to see they're going a different way with this. And I don't know, I think it's almost like they've aged up. I think the other three movies were for kids, really more for teens. And this is more for like, okay, you're in your early 20s now. It's aging up, kind of the way that the Harry Potter films kind of like grew in maturity. This is a more mature Spider-Man film and a more mature Peter Parker.
Yeah, what's interesting, I guess this is directed by Dustin Daniel Cretton, right?
Yeah.
Who did Wonder Man, which is another one of those. I mean, my issue with that was it's a superhero movie, but it's really a drama about an actor. And and everyone says that's the best thing Disney Plus has put out. It's probably true. And I'm wondering how much of that kind of grounded sensibility is now brought into Spider-Man and whether that grounded sensibility will actually work. I don't know. I think I do like a more grounded world. I think that's what I liked about phases 1 through 3. It was that at least on Earth, it was all grounded. No one's winking saying, "Hey, I'm a superhero." We're dealing in the real world with real world issues.
Let's get to our main topic. James Gunn gives an official production update on 5 DCU projects. I have the article here from, I believe it's from the Direct. Yes, the direct.com. And here's his official update. Alan, you've got it.
All right, folks, this is what we've been waiting for. James Gunn shared a broad progress report on the evolving DC universe, revealing a mix of momentum, delays, and creative reshuffling across the slate. Some projects are finally gaining traction. The Wonder Woman prequel series, Paradise Lost, is now in extreme development, signaling real progress after a long silence, though it's not yet at the most advanced stage. Meanwhile, Booster Gold remains in development, reassuring fans it hasn't been canceled despite slow movement. Not everyone is surprised by the process. The Authority has been shelved for now due to script issues and difficulties fitting into the broader DCU, with James Gunn making it clear it won't return anytime soon. On the animated side, things look more stable. Creature Commandos Season 2 is actively in production, targeting for a 2027 release, while Mr. Miracle is moving forward with strong scripts and major implications for the wider universe. Overall, Gunn painted a picture of a DCU still under construction, some projects accelerating, others stalled or reworked, but with a clearer long-term plan taking shape. He also hinted at the next major DCU movie is already coming together behind the scenes, even if it hasn't been officially revealed yet.
Well, there you go. So that's a quick update. My prediction is Man of Tomorrow may be the last of these movies. Someone, here we go from X, Cinesource. Sources within Warner, I'm just quoting this. I'm not going to say this is credible. We don't really know. are saying, sources within Warner are saying that if Supergirl and Lanterns don't do well at the box office or streaming, more DCU projects will be quietly canceled. So, and here's a little graphic they made of some of the projects. I mean, we still don't know what's going on with Batman in the DCU. Peacemaker season 2 kind of ended on a cliffhanger. How is that going to be resolved? Waller was a show. Booster Gold, Paradise Lost. You gave us the update, Alan. Swamp Thing, The Authority. We know that's done. Deathstroke, Bane. I don't know where that is. Teen Titans. I mean, look, it's not unusual to make changes, to pivot. I think Gunn announced a lot of stuff at the beginning. He was very enthusiastic. But, I mean, I remember when this was first announced, I thought, Gunn's perfect. That's great. Can he juggle? I mean, the one thing about Kevin Feige, love him or hate him, Kevin doesn't direct movies. He doesn't write or direct movies. He runs a studio. Can a guy run a studio and write and make films? It's a lot, even for someone as undeniably talented as Gunn. Can he be the diplomat? Can he be the studio head? And, because you're kind of conflicted. You're the.
I think that's what Peter Safran's for. I think Safran is I think Safran is the true producer, while Gunn manages the creative.
Yeah, but I have concerns. Is what I'm saying. So I don't know. Look, I'm not sitting here going, but I really am not super excited about what's coming. I think Superman did not, according to people in the industry, like Ted Sarandos at Netflix, who almost bought WB, admitted Superman underperformed. I think people had higher hopes. What we've seen of Supergirl is not promising. And Lanterns, kind of the reaction to Lanterns was not wildly positive. And now they pulled, and it was not a nefarious reasons. The Lanterns trailer was pulled specifically because of music rights. They forgot to get they forgot to get clearance for a Bruce Springsteen song. Someone should lose their job. That's kind of nuts. But
well, I feel like that's a convenient excuse to pull the trailer off the internet.
Maybe, but I look, I want there to be a healthy DCU, but I can't confidently say I'm excited for what Gunn has coming. I'm more excited about the Batman 2. And that's outside of his universe. That's Matt Reeves. So,
well, look, I found out sources within Warner Brothers say that if Supergirl and Man of Tomorrow don't work out, Gunn may not survive the merger. And I completely made that up, showing you how well journalism is.
Like, where'd you read that?
Look, I can come with opinion. And if I say, well, sources within Disney says this, well, now I have credibility and I could lie about anything. But to your point, look, Paradise Lost, Booster Gold, The Authority, Creature Commandos, Mr. Miracle. What the hell are those? I don't read DC. I don't know who these people are. I don't know. I couldn't tell you a thing about what their powers are, what their storylines are. This is what Marvel did after after Endgame. They brought us superheroes that nobody knows. Nobody knows what their powers are. I don't think Ms. Marvel, her powers are defined yet. Don't know their storylines. Don't know what their wants and needs are. Why they're superheroes. Why their villains are this. I don't know what it is about DC, but they're going down the Marvel route, and at least Marvel is making attempts to pull themselves out of the problem they're in.
In related news, my superpower is pivoting, and we need to pivot to this story. DCU co-head rejects superhero fatigue. This is from Cosmic Book News. And of course, we have an image of Millie Alcock as Supergirl. Alan, what's in the story?
Okay, so from Cosmic Book News.
Oh, good.
Sources within DC Studios say DC Studios co-head Peter Safran pushes back on the idea of superhero burnout, arguing the real issue is quality, not the genre itself, as he puts it. I never felt that there was superhero fatigue. I felt it was mediocre movie fatigue. In his view, audiences haven't abandoned capes. They've just grown tired of the films that feel formulaic and uninspired. To counter that, DC is aiming at something fresh with Supergirl, starring Millie Alcock. Safran emphasizes the need to evolve the genre, saying, you got to try something new. You have to change the game a little bit. The film draws from Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow by Tom King and Bilquis Elvili, presenting a darker, more unconventional version of Derail that departs from the classic Superman-style hero. The movie also serves as a key test for the new DC universe led by James Gunn and Safran, following Superman. With a packed summer box office, including Spider-Man Brand New Day, the pressure is high, especially since the season drives a huge share of yearly ticket sales. In short, Safran's argument is simple. Audiences aren't rejecting superheroes, they're rejecting sameness. Supergirl is DC's attempt to prove the bold new approach can make a genre soar. Wow, I got something to say about this one.
Well, go ahead, give it to me.
Yeah,
Alan.
it's okay. So
okay,
I will agree with Safran in this. He says, I never felt there was superhero fatigue. I felt it was mediocre movie fatigue. I've been saying this for a very long time. I know a lot of other people have saying this. We are not tired of superheroes. We are tired of bad superhero movies. Where the problem is, and where I think Safran and Gunn are going in the wrong direction, is the idea that we need to do something different, that we need to take the superhero genre and flip it on its head. Therefore, that's why we're getting this Supergirl movie. It is unlike any other superhero we're familiar with or superhero story that we respond to. It is just their new take on it. And so far, what I've seen, this new take is bad. And to that point, again, I'll repeat what I said about Marvel. Marvel seems to have learned their lesson, and they're going back to the original Spider-Man stories, the original Spider-Man suit, the DIY Spider-Man stuff. They're going back to what made Spider-Man Spider-Man, and not kind of this mid, when we were first introduced to Spider-Man, he was backed by Tony Stark. That's kind of what Superman was. It wasn't the start of the whole new Superman story. It was put us in the middle where Superman is in this world where there are other superheroes and the like. And again, that's DC making Marvel's mistakes. And DC is about 3 steps behind Marvel at this point.
Yeah, I think too many steps to catch up. And it's also trying to catch up when the marketplace is kind of, they're kind of done with superheroes. And based on our trip to CinemaCon, one of the things I noticed was, wow, there's fewer superhero projects. You know what? There were a lot of video game projects, video game movies. That is, Sony had a whole bunch. We saw teases and announcements of video game movies are the future, with Minecraft and Super Mario performing so well. They have replaced the superhero movie. I'm sorry to say, it is what it is.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not. I mean, Hollywood is doing what Hollywood does. One video game movie succeeds. Now we're going to make a whole slew of it. But the ones that succeed are the ones that captures the spirit of the video game that you're playing. And you see it all the time when something succeeds. You get cheap copies and remakes, or cheap copies and fakes of that stuff. And I think we're going to see that same cycle occur with video games. You're going to see a few great ones that follow the game, and then you're going to see a lot of bad ones following up.
Well, for one, I'm looking forward to Mortal Kombat 2 and
Street Fighter. I'm looking forward to Street Fighter.
It's good. Let's go to your comments before we bring on our special guest. We'll start with Soups, and we have a lot of comments. Let's go.
Look at that. Bruce Leroy Jenkins for 2. Alan's windshield wiper fund. We're at $7.96 now.
The windshield wiper fund?
I know. I gotta call my
If
insurance
it's windshield
company now.
wiper, I'll pay for it right now. $2?
$2? Yeah, I gotta call my insurance company and get this worked out. Not another name for 2 to connect Chris to the fast internet.
Thank you. Not another name, but
Let's just say
I don't know. I don't know why. Am I freezing now? I wouldn't know.
No, you're fine. Yeah, actually, you've been, except for the beginning of the show, you've been pretty good.
Thanks.
Andrew Cram for 10. Alan's windshield wiper fun. So we're at $7.86.
If it's windshield wipers, I'll buy them for you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Windshield
repair.
Thanks,
Andrew.
When do you ever talk about just the windshield? You're always changing your damn wipers constantly.
That's true. Let's get
Pilgrim Media for 2. Supergirl will be a train wreck. Mark it down.
All right. Thank you, Pilgrim Media.
Okay. Royston Bailey for 2. What's Millie all about, y'all? She's the current it girl. And then from Royston again for 2. Hot take: Superman/girl needs to be V looking good.
Very good looking.
Oh, very good looking.
My guess.
Royston Bailey, a member for 3 months. Hey, Royston. Oh, what I like to see are more $30 million movies with filmmakers who take risks. Not everyone cares about superhero films. I want the really good stuff. Art. From Kamchi for 5. Basically, Marvel effed up Superman comics, but fixing the movie version. While DC is in reverse, but comic rep is still low. They don't know what they're doing.
Okay. And we will get to some of your other comments at the end of the show. But we have a very special guest today. He has been very outspoken on social media with regard to issues of the entertainment industry and Asians. I'm being serious. I know
you
are. And he is an accomplished music video director, commercial director, filmmaker, award-winning director. And we're pleased to have him on the show. Let's welcome Joseph Kahn. Hey, Joseph.
Hey, Joseph.
Hi. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for being here. I don't want you to think I'm stalking you, but I like most of your posts on X. You've been on fire lately, and you're one of, I would actually say, a growing number of people in the industry that I would say are kind of apolitical, not left or right, but one prevailing theme: common sense. Is common sense coming back to entertainment?
I don't know if common sense is coming back, but I think the market is reacting to some of the oversteps of the last 15 years. It's hard to say. I mean, if you want to get very specific, obviously some of the DEI stuff is definitely getting a pushback, you know? And it's a very controversial word when you say DEI, if you say woke or you say any of these particular words, because it inflames everybody, you know? But there has definitely been sort of a political agenda. And I think it was commercially related. I don't think it was just coming out of people just saying, we want to virtue signal and do good things. I think people were actively trying to carve up the marketplace and go for very specific demographics. I think they made certain calculations, and I think they just overstepped, and it was wrong. So you'll see a pushback, and I think they'll go back to basics on some things. I mean, Hollywood is a very progressive place. It's artist driven, so you're never going to get past a certain level of virtuous human being that wants to present themselves a certain way. But I do think on a basic capitalist idea of who you're selling to and how you're selling, that stuff is getting corrected a little bit, anyways, from what I see.
I would say from where I sit, because I see almost every movie released in theaters, I'd say there's been an overcorrection, and they've replaced some bad old stereotypes with new bad stereotypes, where I can look at the identity of a character in a film, in an ensemble. I know what's going to happen. It's made storytelling boring in many ways. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, part of it comes from, I think there's just a lot of different agendas being pushed by individuals.
Right.
Like, for instance, if you're a filmmaker, you can take a choice in life very early on. And I saw this particular choice. Now, part of it may be that I just come from a different era, like when I started filmmaking in the early 90s, there was no internet. There was no camera fixated on a filmmaker. You could say pretty invisible. And my name was pretty neutral, Joseph Kahn. You didn't really know what that was. The reality was in the 90s, I hid the fact I was Asian, and people couldn't figure out that I was Asian until like in the mid 2000s when Making the Video was on me. And I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a big problem for me, because I remember like getting on set, especially when I'm doing rap videos. Nobody knew what I was until I got on set. And that was kind of an enigma, And now people, to get jobs, push their identity forward. Like if you try to do a commercial, a lot of times, especially I would say in the last 10 years, people would go, we need a female race. We need something. And they will literally cast you according to your identity before you even get to pitch on the commercial. Or they're
Really?
definitely want. Oh yeah, of course. That's that would happen in the directing part of it, but it would definitely happen. I mean, obviously on the casting part of it. Whenever you do a commercial, you're definitely looking at like, who are the demographics, what's the mix, who are you selling to? If you have a couple on screen, one of the reasons you see a lot of mixed race couples up on screen isn't necessarily because these things actually exist to the degree that they do in commercials, because it checks off boxes for a lot of the agencies and companies. By having a mixed race couple, you have one of each particular race.
You have two boxes to check off.
You just hit a lot of boxes, and you can solve a lot of problems doing that. So that you can say that is a virtue sort of push, but I view it from a different point of view. I just see it as being a little bit self-defensive. It's like people want to keep their jobs. You have to imagine like people that do commercials, like an agency, like a creative team might be working on this for 6 months, and that's the only commercial they're working on for 6 months. So when they finally get a chance to put it on air, they're going to check off the boxes that most likely, hit them. Sorry, someone's
your ring.
It's all good. Your Ring doorbell's working.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the point where when I see a not mixed race couple, when I see like, oh my gosh, there is a white woman with a white husband.
I mean, you feel like you can breathe now.
There's an Asian family, like an Asian family, like just all like I'm surprised when they don't have a mixed race couple. It's almost it's become so constant. And of course, we live in LA, we see it, and yes, mixed race couples, they exist, but to the degree that they're overrepresented in like commercials and in TV, is just it's almost like you roll your eyes now. Like
it's a silly thing, because what I've noticed in the entertainment business over my last 35 years is that people chase after things that are successful, and whether it's an IP, whether it's a creative idea, whether it's an actor, whether it's a filmmaker, whatever it is, they go towards whatever is the proven formula. So the mixed race thing is a proven formula, and it has a lot of things going for it, in terms of like the acceptance over at the corporate level and the other level. And then in terms of like just seeing it actively get on television, before you know it becomes this sort of meme, this sort of viral meme that everyone tries to replicate. And so here's the thing. Nothing ever changes until it becomes super obvious that people have overdone it, So I remember saying, like, for instance, if you think American TV is bad, there was one time, in the UK market, when you watch their Christmas commercials, because their Christmas commercials are like our Super Bowl. It's like the most expensive commercials come in. And I swear to you, I think it was around 2022 or 2023. Every commercial was a black person. Every commercial, one after another, in the UK. And they're like less of the population. Here in America, it's like 13% of the population. In the UK, it's like 5 to 6% of the population, but literally every single commercial was either a mixed race black couple or a black couple. And you saw what was happening. It was fear in that marketplace. It's like everybody had their agenda. It was their one commercial of the year. So everybody had to check that box, to the point when you actually saw it run back to back, there were no white people in the UK, basically. So that's the way it kind of works.
Yeah, I have to ask you, do you feel gypped by the fact that you couldn't take advantage of your ethnicity early in your career like you can today?
No, I think it may be a better film. I come from a different point of view. So I grew up in the 80s, and weirdly enough, okay, I felt like I came from like Europe and Asia, like that's where my family was. We came to America in the 80s. All these Asians that complain about microaggressions and racism in like today have no idea what it's like to be an Asian.
I know.
I had no idea. I mean, like, you would literally get into a line and people would make ching chong noises at you, and I mean, it was pretty rough. But what you do is you end up building a big sense of armor. You know, like you just your ability to
like somehow you grow from it and you become a stronger person.
It's hard to say, but it's true. It's like you end up getting this sort of like armor around you. You just become a tougher person, you know. And I think that today people are just, I mean, from my point of view, just very, very soft, you know? So I did see like there's this thing that happened, I'd say about right around the 90s. It seemed like the race thing kind of started sorting itself out. By the time you got to the 90s and the early 2000s, it seemed like the race thing was almost fixed from my perspective. And then it just got extreme. And then people like, again, it's like this intersection where it's like race and calibration was hitting this way, and then suddenly kept going off in different directions to the point where it's like people started separating themselves again, you know, and grievance issues started popping up. And you know, I saw it specifically in my business where all of a sudden there was such a push for diversity, it actually converted into separation, not diversity.
Yeah, you know, I experienced the same thing. Like I was always the only Asian at my job. Then when I got into comedy, I would be the only Asian in these improv groups I was a part of. And but then, as you say, it started to balance itself out. I started seeing more Asians doing the things I was doing. I worked at a company where the only other Asian wasn't in the IT department, you know, and so we were expanding and getting different jobs then. But you're right. It just felt like we were getting along and things were going all in the right direction. And something happened that caused us to stop and just resurrect all this racial stuff that doesn't exist anymore.
One of my theories and my observations over the last 35 years is about 20 years ago when it started equalizing, you know. I think people saw that there was money to be made through quote unquote diversity, but it went from diversity into carving out the market. You know, for instance, people used to say like Black films don't make any money. Well, they do make money. Like it turns out that a big chunk of the Black audience is a monoculture that will vote on opening weekend. So like if you had like a movie like Ride Along or whatever it is, or some Kevin Hart movie, you know, or a Martin Lawrence movie, that thing would be guaranteed to open at $20-30 million. Where it goes from there, you don't know, but you know that you're at least going to carve out that first opening weekend. And if you get white people on top of it, then you get like your $40-50 million opening. In terms of the top, you don't know where it is, but you know there's a bottom, right? So all of a sudden you saw a ton of people trying to like fight for that particular dollar, you know, that opening weekend. And so that ends up playing games with different, you know, corporations and corporate agendas in terms of how do you carve out that particular audience and seek it. But you know what ends up happening is that I feel like people end up fighting for the same dollar. You know, it's a zero-sum game. And so you'll see some big crash and burns. It'll go from, you know, like trying to get like Ride Along for $20 million to, you know, Black Little Mermaid, you know, which then implodes globally. I don't necessarily have an opinion about, you know, whether or not that was a good movie. I hadn't even seen the movie, but I do know that, let's just be real, that's a hard sell in like places like China or Asia, you know, like, you know, we think that like our market is racist. Well, you don't know about the other markets that are used to very specific things, you know?
Yeah. But we also forget that in the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of Black television and a lot of Black movies, and it reached across the aisle. Everybody loved those shows. And for some reason, go ahead.
The most popular television show in the 80s was The Cosby Show. That was the biggest thing.
Family Matters, you know, the Jeffersons. Good. I mean, you could list them. There's a whole network devoted to black sitcoms and black television shows.
Yeah, I mean, I think we get too like caught up in like this bad idea that seated itself in academia, which is I need to be able to identify with someone who looks like me. And I grew up watching, maybe you remember this show, Joseph, What's Happening?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay. That show was about a single mom raising her kids. Raj was kind of a nerd who wore glasses. And that's why I identified with him. He was kind of a nerd. He had a fun group of friends, Rerun. I mean, the entire cast is black. I love that show. Grew up watching the show. But I didn't look like Raj, unless I was an indoor kid. And I never had, I was very light complected. But it's sort of a bad idea that I think has seated itself. I don't know if you have a comment on that.
No, I definitely do. Look, it wasn't just those things. I mean, there was a lot of different types of shows that I didn't even realize were different races when I was growing up. For instance, What's Happening, or what was the one with the Cosby kids? The one
A Different World.
Fat Albert. Remember the cartoon?
Fat Albert. I love Fat Albert.
I mean, look, I'm like a 6-year-old kid. I don't know who's black, who's white. I remember just liking the show, and here's the reality. Once it gets into cartoon land, it's like you can't see the difference between, say, like a cartoon animal and a cartoon human being. It's all sort of like just a mix of interesting shapes and things and people making jokes. Or I remember like as a kid watching Soul Train or like What's Happening or The Jeffersons. I remember I did not sort of register in my head these were different races. They were just funny shows to me because they're making funny jokes and people acting in funny ways. But the crazy thing is today you can see the indoctrination start very early. For instance, I'm married to a Dutch woman, and my kid is Asian, half white, half Asian. And I remember we took her to and this is in Texas. We took her to a preschool, just to get her into that particular educational system from an early age. And this is Texas, which is considered very conservative. And one day, she came up, I think she was like 2.5 years old, 3 years old. And they're reading a book to her. And I looked on the agenda and the book said, basically it was about, looking at different people and finding out why they're different, to accept their differences. So essentially they're already sort of identifying you're a black kid, I'm an Asian kid, I'm a white kid. My kid's Asian. Why does she have to make this decision at 3 years old or 4 years old or whatever it was? And I thought that's just a terrible way of putting people through the universe and their life by looking for divisions and trying to accept these divisions by spotting them in the first place. She shouldn't be even thinking about this stuff at that age. But that is the sort of modern way that we sort of treat, humanity.
I know. I was thinking the same thing about my daughter because when she was in elementary school, she had a white friend, a Hispanic friend, a black friend, mostly white friends though. And there was a point where they were all just having fun and hanging out together. And I thought to myself, when should I introduce them to the fact that their parents hate each other? When do I need to start discussing? Yeah, they're going to start judging you soon about the color of your skin and the way you eat your rice and stuff like that.
But Alan, sorry. I was going to say, Alan reviewed a documentary about a father who had to check a box about what his son was. Remember that, Alan?
It was when Jack became black. He had to enroll his son in an LA school, and he had to choose: is he white or is he black? And go ahead.
Well, that's the thing. I personally don't want to have my kid make that particular decision at a certain age. If it ever comes up, then yes, we'll talk about it. But she's got other things to learn about. She's got to learn the Dutch language. She's got to learn to eat foods. She's got a lot of different things on the thing, instead of trying to figure out what her genetic makeup is, which is one of the lowest parts of her life in terms of, as far as I'm concerned, in terms of importance of defining who she is. So no. So anyways, I think that just is kind of an example of how we are so divided. Mm-hmm. Because we're just constantly looking for each other's differences, which is really strange. And also, that's the other thing too. Whenever you go into any of these creative meetings these days, whether it's a film or a music or advertising or music video, whatever, you're always trying to isolate what's different about the person, which is fine. You want to have market identity and branding that's different from everybody. But at a certain point, film and entertainment used to be a monoculture. It's something that brings people together. And now we're so focused on what brings people apart, like what makes this person so radically different from everybody else, because everybody wants to be their own, Jesus, basically. Everybody wants to be the most special person in the world. And that's fine. But at the same time, I think one of the greater gifts of entertainment is to figure out what makes us all the same. What makes us all bleed the same, love the same, want the same things. We're exploring the commonality of human beings. I think it's very important. And yes, there's room to figure out what makes us different, but I feel like we've just, again, overstepped and really started pushing towards how different is my culture from your culture. And you know what? Yeah. You can keep going that way, but it's kind of a balkanization of culture, and that's what creates wars, Well,
it's funny you mentioned that, because Michael just came out, the movie, and you watch his concert, and then you watch the audience, and the audience is incredibly diverse. There's something about Michael Jackson that just brought everybody together. And
that was one of the funny things. Yep. He was one of the reasons that I even got into music videos, because I actually saw the Motown special when I was a kid and saw a moonwalk for the first time. And I remember after that particular moment, everybody wanted to be Michael. And Michael specifically, I haven't seen the movie, by the way. Like, I just know what I know from the history of Michael. So, but like the person that he was in the 80s was really kind of this unique individual that really kind of like was non-racial. And you can see that he actually became non-racial through all the surgeries and all that stuff, it turned into something that was neither black nor white. He made a song called that, right? But I remember like he didn't come off black to me when I was a kid. He was just this sort of mystical entity, this so super famous person that you were just enraptured by him. Now I know that like for black people, that's a very important thing. That it's one of the most famous people in history is black, and I perfectly understand where they're coming from on that stuff. But the reality is the imprint of Michael Jackson was beyond race. Like that was the entire point. That's why he is so famous, because all around the world, people didn't see a white, black, Asian, or whatever. People saw like essentially a walking god, so.
Well, I'll say this about the Michael movie. It has the best soundtrack of any movie in the last 5 years.
Well, yeah, it's songs. So.
Yeah, I mean, like you, I was a fan of Michael. I grew up watching the Jackson 5 cartoon. Remember that? That was, but there was something about it. What struck me watching the movie, put Michael aside for the second, I remember that era, and I remember everyone loved him. And now we're at a point where if you don't like, say, a certain performer, that makes you racist for not liking them, or like it's a very bizarre. We live in a bizarre time. But I want to talk about on your X feed, you've been very controversial on some. What do you think might be? I mean, and I think it was today or yesterday. You pissed off the mountain climbing community. What are you do? So what do you think your most controversial take? Is there a reason? I mean, I feel like you, among a few other people, we're getting Paul Walter Hauser is coming on next week to talk to us. More and more people in entertainment are speaking out. I think it needs to happen because I think the industry is at stake. There's a lot at stake. There's a lot of like production has fled LA. It's not going to get better. So what are some of your controversial takes and what do you want people to know? And everyone, please do yourself a favor. Follow Joseph Kahn on X. He is fire right now. But do you think more people feel free to speak out?
No, I've been doing this for a while, and people on social media, I've always had kind of a controversial thing. I've always had to try to find where the right spot for my sort of opinions are, because I can get myself canceled in 2 seconds. There's no question about it. So I play with that constantly,
Yeah.
But to be very honest with you, I do that with my career. Like I'm attracted to ideas that aren't necessarily mainstream, but I try to push them mainstream. And to me, whenever that happens, where I take an idea that's a little left field and then it becomes kind of mainstream and you've pushed it into there, that's the win for me. I like testing the boundaries of human culture. That's me as an artist. So my X feed is just sort of what I normally do in my career. It's just my natural inclination as a human being to sort of figure out where we are and comment on it and figure out where the boundary is. And it's just fun for me. I don't think I would be an artist if I didn't do that. But it always comes from a place of truth too. Right. And again, maybe this comes from the fact that, you know, I'm from a different generation and I have a different perspective and the world is changing constantly. So I have very specific sort of like tentacles that feel differently than a lot of people. But the funny thing in my head is I don't think I'm being controversial. I think I'm saying pretty commonsensical things. I might do it with a sense of humor. And I think that's the other thing. A lot of people may not see the humor in what I say. Like, for instance, I wrote a tweet last night about white guys versus Asian guys when they go after white guys.
I'll bring it up here.
Read it out.
Yeah. Well, this is.
I mentioned that one.
That one is so good. Yeah. This is great. The accompanying photos are amazing here. This is good one. Good take here. I love it.
You're not gonna read it, or
yeah, sure. Read it, Alan.
Oh, okay. So the first one here: when Asian guys go for white girls, I've noticed Asian guys like a completely different type of white girl than white guys. White guys want a workout buddy that climbs rocks, switches reps at the gym, and extracts sperm by flexing giant glutes. Asian guys want soft, elvish girls from Final Fantasy VII.
And here's the picture you posted, which is that's amazing.
That's pretty true, though. That's.
I mean, like, obviously, when you do comedy, there are exaggerations, right? So if I was up on a stand-up and I said this about white guys, before you can say bullshit, you're on to the punchline, right? But because it's being told through Twitter, you have an opportunity to refute and heckle the joke writer, right? So if somebody said this on a comedy stage, it would kill it and go on to the next joke. But because we dissect social media jokes, then it turns into not all white guys, elves are from Europe, or, not all Asian guys and blah, blah. But the truth is somewhere in there. And the truth is, when I look at like what Asian guys normally go for in white girls, and I'm not saying all Asian guys want only white girls, in context of this particular joke, I'm saying when I see Asian guys go after white girls, they're always a very specific type of girl. They're usually a little nerdy. They're not athletes normally. They're almost always skinny. In fact, I cannot. And the other thing I also say is, like, when I say white guys and Asian guys, I can't keep putting context to every joke. Obviously, I mean mostly American dudes and probably more East Asian dudes. If you're Samoan, you're going to go after a big woman because you're a big dude, But Asian dudes who come with like slender body shapes and biomechanics generally go for slender women. If you're going to go to a white girl, they're going to basically try to go for like an Asian version of the white girl, So that's the joke. But then it just turns into controversy because I don't think what I did as a joke is that controversial, but then people rip it apart and turn it controversial. And that happens a lot with a lot of my contacts and stuff like that. I guess there are some things that could come off very, very controversial if you're on certain political leanings. Like once I made a joke about one of the mayors or people that are trying to run for Los Angeles, and I basically
yes, I'll bring that one up. That was so good. I was like, oh, that makes total sense. But it was not political. It was about what she was saying.
Oh, it's common sense. It's
yeah. I'll bring that up. It's about Nithya Raman. So let me just. I want to put. Let's play the video of her and then your comments. So here's what she had to say here.
I mean, it's like, I don't think a kid's going to be safer because a tent is 500 feet away from a school. It's like, it just doesn't. I mean, it's like, I don't think a kid's going to be safer because a tent is 500 feet away from a school.
He got booed at this city council meeting for saying, talking about tent cities, and you had to say, go ahead, Alan, if you can read that.
Oh, I can't see that.
It says, this is not a mayor. This is a Wayland Yutani exec who opens a xenomorph lab next to a school and gets eaten in the second act. You're right. Oh my God, it's so right. It's like the one actor from Aliens.
Paul Reiser,
Yeah, Paul Reiser, like just like that. So that's a great comment. That's not, I mean, you know, I'm not a fan of hers, but she's like a villain. She's like a cartoon villain.
Like I literally think if you plugged her in an Alien movie, you wouldn't blink an eye. You know, if she played that particular character, she's kind of perfect for it. But look, I don't think, like, here's the reality is I skirt around politics. I don't want to be in politics. I think the best place to be for me as a commercial filmmaker is to not have politics. But it's just impossible to comment on the world without a little skewering here and there. But I try to do it in a way that that I feel is fair and common sense. And hopefully when I eventually get my $400 million Marvel movie, it's not too controversial that I'll be blacklisted, you know? So.
Yeah, why haven't you? I mean, look, you've made some features. Let's talk about, I mean, The Ick is great. What a fun horror comedy that movie is. I mean, I think we all loved it here. You mentioned recently when I hit you up to be on the show, you're working on a lot of projects. Is it one of those things where you juggle a bunch and then when you get the green light for X, boom, full speed ahead?
You know, if you really want to know the dirty, gritty version of being Joseph Kahn,
yes, I do.
Like my business, which is commercials, pays a lot more, frankly, than movies. You know, there's a handful of movie directors that can live off doing movies. We're talking Chris Nolan level, Michael Bay level, or even the mid-tier guys like some of those guys that make $5 million a movie, which is a lot of money in Hollywood. But you have to remember that these guys have to pay agents, managers, lawyers, taxes. They live in Los Angeles. I mean, you'd be surprised how little money they have at the end of the day. When I did Torque for Warner Brothers, and that was 20 years ago, they took me off the market for 2 years at a beginner salary. You know, if I was a waiter working, at like Bennigan's or whatever it was at the time, this is huge money for me, right? But as a working filmmaker, you take someone off the market. Now, if you take the chunk of change off that, I remember calculating, I was making less than the PA. I was like literally making the PA could go on to other jobs. And by the end of Torque, I had literally, I'm not kidding you, $300 in the bank. And I owned a house at that point. And I was like, I am screwed. I'm about to lose my house. And then I just luckily booked a $3 million British Telecom job, right? And then I saved myself. But that was purely by the stroke of luck. The hand of God came down and said, Joseph, your movie bombed, but I'm going to save you. And if that didn't happen, there would be a completely different story going on in my life. And so when if like I got offered like a big feature film, I have to make a serious decision. Like, because now I'm not just that single guy in the year 2004. I have a family of 4, I have a dog, I have a house, I have private school and all that. So I'd have to really sort of look at it and go, can I survive financially as a dad to pursue my dream, which is to make a giant Hollywood movie, So that's a big calculation. I know from the outside, people are like, fuck that rich guy and screw him, rich people problems. No, it's dad problems, And also the other thing is, do I want to stay away from my 7-year-old for 2 years? Because they don't shoot in Los Angeles. The ideal was that I shoot in Los Angeles, stay in my house, go to a studio and shoot awesome movies there. But now it's like Australia or, somewhere in the Balkans, Slovenia, like London even. And you don't understand, like when you do a movie, you don't see your family. And so every time I take a music video, I think that's 3 months of my life gone. I'm going to go into this hole. They're not going to know me for 3 months and I'll come out the other end. And then, the artist will have this great music video, but I'll have lost good 3 chunks of my life and not see my kid. So these are hard decisions I have to make when I do it. So it's not just a matter of give Joseph a job. It's can Joseph do the job? And can Joseph actually commit to it and not feel like he just blew apart his life, you know. So but the truth is, I would love to make a big movie. That's all I wanted to do since the day I got into business. But it's a hard thing. Like if I was making Michael Bay money, you know, like to do a job, then yes, it'd be no brainer. I just have to sort of figure out, like J.J. Abrams does, whether or not he wants to stay away from his family. Remember, like when J.J. first did Star Wars, he didn't want to do it because he had to go to London. And remember at that time, I was like, that's silly. Why would you even think of that? Of course you'll do Star Wars. But as a dad, you're like, oh, I get it. You're not going to see your family, especially if they're not going to go to London with you. That's torture, you know? So that's what I'm looking at.
I mean, it seems like that would be true across the board. I mean, how long do you think how many movies did it take Glenn Powell to finally make money being an actor?
Well, I mean, actors and directors are a bit different because actors can sort of come in and they're shooting for 3 months and then they're gone. Mm-hmm. Directors are there for like 6 months and then do post-production. I mean, it's like joining the military. It really is. These are military operations, by the way. A director is literally like a general, and you're waging a war and you're being tactical and you put your battle plans together. You have little armies and different divisions, and then you're committed, you know? So I'm a mercenary right now. So I take my little armies and I shoot for Coca-Cola or Pepsi, you know, and I go in, I fight their wars, and I come out and I get to live with my family. If I do a feature film, that's a long battle. I'm literally engaging in World War II, you know, so it's a commitment.
What is the process for booking a big film? You know, one of the things I look at, I sort of like look at some of the hires. I'm like, well, I've never seen anyone really address, how do you get that job? I don't mean like obviously you're qualified, but what is the process to booking a big movie? When Rian Johnson was announced as the director of Episode 8, you know, the second of the Star Wars sequels, I just was like, well, he's a really kind of, you know, an indie director who's really done good work. How did he get that job? And so can you enlighten us? Like, what is the process of a qualified director getting a big gig like that?
I can only theorize on Rian Johnson because I'm not Rian Johnson, and I've never done a big movie. I did one 25 years ago, but it wasn't big. That was a $30 million movie. People thought it was big, but it was actually pretty mid-tier back then. I can tell you the process from my point of view, which is you have to be invited. You have to they literally have to reach out to you, and they have to invite you for a very specific reason. And the calibration over the last 10 years was your identity. Are you the right look for this particular thing? Are you a female? Are you going to do, you know, like, you know, there's just various sort of slots that you fit into. The only big movie I was really invited to pitch on, which I did, was Shang-Chi for Marvel, you know, and obviously they reached out to me for, you know, one.
right. Oh my God.
Although I will say I'm constantly getting offered K-pop scripts, which is really, again, it's kind of a frustrating process because, you know, I've never sold myself as an Asian American filmmaker over the 35 years I've been doing this. Like, you know, my work is universal, and so I don't view myself that way. All the inputs of my creativity are like the same things as anybody else. Like, it's all the Marvel comic books I've read, all the Spielberg films I've watched, you know, all the television that I've seen and shows and music and all that. I feel like I'm a pretty broad cultural point of view, but when it came to the last 10 years, they wanted the Asian dude to do Shang-Chi. So, but I took, you know, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. So I went in there and I pitched my version of it. They give you like kind of a list of things they want to see in the movie. They don't have a script yet. They tell you different ideas. They had, like, for instance, they had whole idea of bringing Ben Kingsley back. They knew that was going to be part of the script, and that, you know, that would be part, and they knew that there was going to be some general plot points. So I went in there and I pitched my idea, which remarkably was very similar, by the way, to the final output. You know, like, although some of the choices I had were a little weird. Like, for instance, you remember the you know, the comedian Bobby Lee?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be a funny joke. You know, like how in all the Jackie Chan movies, he's called Jackie, you know, but he plays a character called Jackie in every Jackie Chan movie you've ever seen, you know, like story and stuff like that. So I wanted Bobby Lee to play Bobby Lee, you know, like, but he would be just this character. And he essentially was the Awkwafina character, the sort of loser Asian guy. So there are a lot of similarities, but I don't know if that's necessarily that they sort of collate a bunch of ideas that different directors pitch, or that particular idea can only be one way because you've got to enter, you know, like some fight UFC type situation. Plus, you know, he's going to have a buddy, a sidekick, and it'll be comedic. So that sidekick most likely will be a loser if he's going to be like the heightened person. So I don't know if it's sort of a like collation of different ideas coming in there, or if the ideas can only be one thing for that first initial idea. But I did pitch on it. I didn't get it. And I remember like being in the room going, this is not going well. Like I remember seeing one of the executives sort of listening to what I was saying, and I could definitely I can tell like when I'm pitching when things aren't going well, and I could tell I'm not getting this gig. So.
But also they had to look at your work. I mean, oh my God, just you know, your work speaks for itself.
I don't think that was the priority in that particular room. I don't think they do the work, frankly. I think they just saw he's one of the viable Asian American guys.
Yeah. Because I don't think Daniel's work had been that much different. In terms of budget and quality.
Yeah. So I think that I think that there's just whatever it is the executive speak. I'm very good at executive speak in advertising and commercials and record company. I haven't quite cracked it in the film world. But I also, you know, I also think that there's something else going on in the film world that's different than music videos and commercials. Because essentially when you're doing music videos and commercials, like for instance, music videos want the smartest guy in the room. You know, they literally, like an artist says, I want you to direct this video. And then they're dependent on the director to execute that on. So they absolutely want the smartest guy in the room for music videos for the most part, right?
Yeah.
If you do commercials, by the time these creatives come up with their ideas, and then the producers and the executives and the advertising, they want the smartest guy in the room to execute that particular commercial. There's so much writing on it, and so many people can get fired. They really need somebody that knows what they're doing. I don't feel like in film, because of the way that the producers have so much power and the people that do the budgets, and then like TV has showrunners and writers and stuff like that. They don't necessarily need the smartest guy in the room. In fact, if you come off like the smartest guy in the room, it's almost like a turnoff. You know, they're like, this guy thinks he's being better than us or something like that. So you almost have to tone down your ego and not be the smart. I've literally had, like, for instance, I met with a potential manager one time a couple of years ago, and he's like, what do you need me for? You know, you already know everything. That's sort of like the perspective, you know? So, again, look, you're talking to the worst person in the world about how to get a Hollywood job, because I can't get one. So,
well, let me ask you, we have a lot of comments and questions from our audience. Before we get to that, I've followed you obviously on social. You're outspoken. Let's say tomorrow you became the president of Hollywood. What changes would you make to reinvigorate the American film industry?
Okay. Gosh, you're asking me. I'm going to just, like, this is just one guy's opinion. Okay.
Please.
I would stop. You have a lot of power in the film industry. And I would just tear down LA politics. That's the first thing. Like, I would just tear it all down. And if you can't make LA an affordable place to live and an affordable place to do business, and the structure isn't there to support business isn't going to operate there. And filmmaking is a business like anything else, you know? So right now, for instance, Grips and Electrics can't live in LA proper. Like, if I ever shoot in LA, these guys are driving 2 hours out from, you know, the Valley,
Riverside,
or wherever it is, you know, like, and so you don't have any. When I first moved to LA in 1995, I remember people used to live in Hollywood, you know, like people literally lived, you know, above Sunset and Fairfax and things like that. That doesn't happen anymore. People now live in OC and things like that. So it's become incredibly unaffordable, but people are arguing that it's because we're not taxing enough or things like that. I think that's the problem. These businesses need to be able to operate to make profit. And when you're pulling so much out of tax, everyone's wages go. It's inflationary. You know, this is my common sense point of view, right? Like, there's just this sort of whole attitude of fuck the rich, fuck business, screw them, make them pay their fair share. And I guess that works from one point of view, but the problem right now is just a lack of jobs and a lack of investment into there. So I think if you don't fix LA proper, there's no LA film business.
I'm curious, where do you film music videos and commercials nowadays? Is it in LA, or are you?
My last music video is in Thailand.
Okay.
And I am in negotiating to do a music video in about 2 weeks in LA, but it's incredibly expensive. I mean, it's insane. It's like very, very, very expensive. Like if it wasn't
to the point where it's not worth the hassle, or is it, or are people still wanting to keep the business alive in LA?
People do, but it's just really hard. Like LA has incredible gifts. It has the best crews in the world for sure. No question about it. Like we're talking about generational talent. And what I literally mean is you'll meet like Key Grips, whose dad was a grip and Key Grip, who did Close Encounters, and their grandpa did Psycho. And it's like, so all this knowledge and sort of perspective is being passed on from generation to generation. And as a military operation, the problem when you go into like, say, like new territories like Atlanta, right? Atlanta now has a lot of LA transplants living there, so they retain the military structure. I keep talking about this, but then you'll go into certain areas where it's like it's mercenary. It's like these yahoos that won't show up on set one day, and there's no repercussion because they're the only grip in town. Like I remember I was shooting in Dubai, and our key grip was South African, and he just got drunk one day and didn't show up on set. That would just never happen in Los Angeles. You would get so like kicked out of the business because LA protects its infrastructure, So you just know that when you shoot in LA, you have a solid base of great crew that know how these things operate. Then on top of it, you have all the equipment in the world. If you technocrane breaks at like 2 a.m, you can make a phone call and another technocrane will get in there by 3 a.m. Right? You can't do that anywhere else in the world with only one technocrane. If something,
you have consistent weather as well.
You have consistent weather. The likelihood of you trying to do a car shot and then it doesn't rain on you and suddenly you have to like do that. I mean, like there's a lot of things that LA has, but I don't think that right now the financial aspects of it make any sense whatsoever to shoot here. Because also, look, all these as these neighborhoods get more and more expensive, they're also less like able to let you shoot there. Like people just get pissed off that you're shooting on their the road for a week. Like on Ick, we shot in Texas, and we shot in a neighborhood, a real neighborhood, and we closed that street down at night for like a week. That would never happen in Los Angeles. Nobody would put up with it. But in Texas, people were fine with it. People get on their lawn chairs and watch us shoot all night long, and so it's just a cultural thing. And I don't know how you would fix that, but look, I hope it does, because LA is literally the best place to shoot in the world.
Let's go to comments and questions from our audience. Here we go. Alan, if you will.
All right. Fresh snow. That sells it. I want a Shang-Chi Joseph Kahn cut.
I would have liked to seen it too, but
Ryan Potter. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Yeah. You never heard that one before.
No.
Ryan Landis. Thoughts on using AI to help with filmmaking? Yeah, what's your stance on AI in filmmaking?
I think it's inevitable, but not in the way people think. Okay. I think AI is going to get incorporated, and the place where it's really going to get incorporated is in visual effects. But here's the thing: like prompting is time consuming. It is as fast as you think the prompt comes back and makes something new and stuff like that. It's like writing. Writing is time consuming too, but most directors do not write because when you're sitting there and you're typing for like a year, that you're not shooting, right? So I think that AI is basically like writing. And even though you get iterations of it back really fast and the processing you'll get fast, you're still going to have to go through so many iterations to get it specific that essentially let's just think about it from a pure like industrial Henry Ford point of view. Yes, one person can build a car, but if you have like say an army of like say 1,000 people, and 1,000 people are prompting, and one person is saying that like I need you to go prompt this out, you're going to get a lot more done. People seem to think it's going to be one person prompt. It won't be one person. It'll be 1,000 prompters coming with different iterations, to the point that it's still going to be the same process. It's like there's going to be a king on top and then a bunch of like workers on the bottom, and then the AI will generate, but it's going to take a lot of time no matter what, because it also doesn't go faster than the speed of human thought. The processing might be faster than the speed of thought, but the decision of the human being going, I want this car to be red. No, that doesn't look good. come back and make it brown. Oh no, this plot point doesn't work. Let's have this change over here. That's the bottleneck will be the human processor itself making these particular decisions. So I don't see it getting to a point where it's one person iterating it. Just like in CG, you rarely see one person do all the CG and then win the Oscar. Maybe it happens a handful of times, but on a purely industrial commercialized level, it's going to be a decision maker with a lot of prompters. And the other thing also is the prompt itself. I don't think it'll ever get to a point where you're just prompting all the way. I think there's still going to be manipulation of it. That's essentially computer graphic CGI interfaces, where you manipulate this way, you turn this way, you recompose this way. You're going to be able to click and push and pull and all that stuff and change and model and all this. I think that's still around. I think it'll speed up that particular process. But again, the human bottleneck is what it is. And I think that AI will be incorporated, but a lot of what you already see is still going to be retained. And ultimately, the other thing also is performance capture of actual live human beings. I don't think that's going away. I think that the X factor will be human performance because we want to see real human beings. Look, we've had animation for the longest time, but you know what hasn't taken off? Except for maybe in Japan, anime porn. It's like we have the ability to draw whatever porn we want artificially, but people still want the real shit, like OnlyFans and things like that. Yeah, they want to know that there's an actual human being in there because humans want to connect with other humans. So unless we get to a point where our brains are literally microchipped and we no longer need to see human beings, I think that there's just two bottlenecks. The fact that you want to see real humans, and then there's a human decision maker. If those two things get out of the formula, then we're not even human anymore. So who really cares?
More comments here.
All right. Stevie D, nice clockwork orange in frame.
Buddy, everyone always notices that. But that's the original 1977 Star Wars poster. I can just
the windows are the shine on the windows
there.
Makes it difficult. Yeah.
That is original.
Yeah, but yeah. All right. Doomed, huh? I first discovered Detention when Chris recommended it on DV Tuesday on Attack of the Show.
Nice.
Way back in the day.
All right. I will not eat the bugs. Hi, Joseph. I wanted your insight representation. Are mediocre films worth it when there are better films? I'd take the films of Wong Kar-wai or Kim Kik-duk instead of Crazy Rich Asians or Joyride.
Well, I don't know. I think that when it comes to representation, look, I'm not. My natural instinct is that it annoys me when things are just being done to represent things. That's the truth. It's like if it's bad work, it just annoys me and it doesn't sell me to the agenda that they have. So, but it's undeniable. Sometimes people will have a very specific point of view, and it gets expressed in a very interesting way that I haven't seen before, and it entertains me on a level that I haven't seen before. And I can't necessarily say very specific things. Like, for instance, Hard Boiled by John Woo, or The Killer by John Woo, or something like that. To me, those are such interesting movies on their own level, irrespective of the fact that it's Asian cinema. But then Chow Yun-fat comes in there and he's so cool in his own weird way, and you're seeing different cultural artifacts that are specific to Hong Kong at that point. Then it feels like it's almost like I'm watching like a Western. It's like when you enter like Unforgiven and you're trying to understand the source of where all this is, and you're trying to understand the culture of the West, Wild West in that particular thing, and trying to figure out Bill Money's background. Like, that journey is just as interesting as the movie itself. And so sometimes I view things like that. Or like when you go into Star Wars, and the first time you see R2-D2 and you're trying to figure out what the fuck is happening up on screen. Sometimes that stuff is very interesting. Or any Quentin Tarantino film, basically, where you're entering this world and trying to understand the rules. Sometimes that sort of representation is interesting when it's really enriching and you're fully immersed. But when you plop in and it's lazy and you're just supposed to like it because it's different people, but essentially they're telling the same damn story. Like Crazy Rich Asians, I know that, for instance, I know a lot of Singaporeans, they found that movie really boring. They the Singaporeans of the actual Crazy Rich Asians that I do know, thought, why are people into this movie? Because we see movies like this all the time, and this is not a good one, So, but maybe for Americans, it's interesting. Maybe there's a lot of Americans that like they don't know anything about Singapore, and so they're getting that first taste, and it's interesting to them. But for people that know about Singapore, it's nothing special. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think that's true right there. The other thing is, a John Woo movie is not an Asian movie. It's a John Woo movie. A Chow Yun Fat movie is not an Asian movie. It's a Chow Yun Fat movie, a Jackie Chan movie. It's all about the people behind it and the storytellers. And they just happen to be Asian at that point.
I mean, look, I'll say another thing. Like, for instance, I don't agree with the politics of Spike Lee's Malcolm X. I don't really. It's not really my thing. It's a little extreme for me. But I can't deny that it was actually kind of a fascinating experience watching that in a movie theater. It felt a little dangerous. It was like I'm going into another world, another perspective. So I walked out of it going, "Oh, that was an interesting experience." I'm not really a black separatist. I'm not a Muslim. I'm not any of those things. But it was an interesting experience. Watching the particular movie. I didn't necessarily have to agree with all the points to it, but it was fascinating, almost like a science fiction film or something. So I'm not an anti-representation guy. I just think it has to be done well and with purpose. And for wherever time it's being released at, it should immerse you just like any movie.
Joseph, I want to thank you for your time. We're probably way over what we talked about, but everyone needs to follow Joseph Kahn.
Just for the header image alone.
Look at that. Look at the people you work with, and you're talking to us. Taylor Swift. Look at that. That is
Britney,
a rogues gallery. It's the Avengers of music video stars. There. Look.
Well, I know about you guys for ages, So I remember I have this vague recollection of seeing a Film Threat magazine at one point in Texas as a kid, and I thought the name itself was great. I remember going, "This is such a dangerous magazine. Like, who puts film and threat together?"
Yeah.
So look, I got these for ages. So thank you for inviting me on.
Yeah, thank you, Joseph. Don't be a stranger. I'll see you on social. Thanks again, and take care. This was great.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Take care, Joseph. Later.
Bye.
That was awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
Joseph is great. Let's read some. There are some comments we didn't get to, and let's talk about those.
I'll answer them. Terry Ick for 10. Throw in my donation for Alan's windshield wiper repair fund. Let's get this telethon going. So $10. What is that? So we're at
You're in the
778.
Yeah. Thank you.
Shade became a YouTube member. Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Let's see. Terry Ick again. If Supergirl and Lanterns are proof of Gunn's development, not impressed or excited.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was expecting more. I'll be honest. Davian Duckworth. Extreme development equals epic failure.
Yep.
All right. Phone Punk. The opening of Demolition Man with LA on fire looks less apocalyptic than in real life. Chicken Wing. Paul Walter Hauser is such an amazing actor. I think we'll continue to see him for a long time. He's excellent.
Well, join us, Chicken Wing 91, next week. He'll be on the show a week from today.
Yeah,
we'll do an extended. We have a couple interviews that day. We'll do interviews some filmmakers who have a movie opening, and then we'll talk to Paul.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I have questions about Cruella, and
I had the Mole Man. I want to know everything about the Mole Man we didn't get to see.
No, I want to know about Horace. Razorbird makes me wonder if the Nick Cage Superman movie will be better.
Is it Superman or Spider-Man? Superman.
Spider-Man. Oh, Spider-Man. Sorry.
Well,
dyslexia.
Either one. There was a Nick Cage Superman movie.
Yeah.
You misspoke, but that's accurate. There's a whole documentary about that. Then there's the Nick Cage upcoming Spider Noir series, which I got all 8 episodes from Amazon. So, but I can't talk about it till May 22nd, just before it comes out.
I swear I read Superman. It was
but that's
the P and Spider kind of movie.
No, but it's all. I'm saying that's actually also accurate. Your mind probably went there.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why. Yeah, I mean, that's why it made sense when I said it. Oh yeah, Superman, of course.
Well, you see Nick Cage Superman in the Flash movie.
Yep.
So that wraps it up for us today. Thank you for all your generous soups for Alan's windshield.
Wiper.
Which one day will get fixed. Thanks to our mods, Lord Thoth, MK Solid, ADLS24, and Ololique on Rumble, and Atomic Lori. And to you, Alan, always love doing the show with you and having fun.
Oh yeah, me
We
too.
do it.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Chris. I'll
And
see you
we'll be-
tomorrow.
I'll see you tomorrow. We are going to the Cosm to see
LA.
Harry Potter in that. What do they call that?
It's called shared reality.
In
It's,
shared
It's
reality.
Screen X on steroids.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We'll be doing that. And we're back Friday to review all the new movies opening, including Animal Farm, Hokum. What else? The Devil
Yeah, I
Wears
know.
Prada 2. A lot. Oh, wait a sec. And Nick
Deep Water.
Gore coming
Nick Gore.
in hot with an extra 2 for Alan's
All right,
windshield wiper
776.
repair fund.
We're getting there.
So there you go. Alan, I'll see you tomorrow, and Friday we'll be back. What do you have to say?
Let's get out of here.